I finally got around to getting my Warlock through the campaign, and I've also finally landed on my first Prismatic build for this class, the Osmio-Flare Warlock. This build possesses both theme and power, combining the fire and ice fantasy with near infinite grenades and massive eruptions of both stasis and solar damage. But before we get into the how and whys of the build, I've got to look the part. Weirdly enough, finding a blue and red shader is actually much harder than you'd think. I couldn't find one that I liked, but I did find this blue and orange shader, which feels close enough. I went for the dragon armor as well because, come on, fire and ice? That just screams dragon to me. Osmiomancy is my name and cold snaps is my game. These gloves are incredible. They give you an extra charge of the cold snap grenade, and grenade energy is given every time the cold snap hits something. It's simple, it's effective, and it's the perfect exotic to pair with this build. For the subclass I went Song of Flame, Phoenix Dive, Snap, and of course, Cold Snaps. Solar Buddy and Devour for the aspects, although I will say there's a solid case to be made for the stasis turrets as well. I personally wanted Devour for the extra grenade energy and survivability, but you do you. There's a lot of fragments to choose from on Prismatic, but the most important ones are Hope, Command, and Ruin. Hope gives extra class ability regen while you have a buff, which in my case is mostly Devour. Command gives some stat boost and creates stasis shards, and Ruin makes shatters and ignitions larger and gives shatters a bit more damage. You'll have 2 more slots if you went Devour like me, and 3 more if you went for stasis turrets. My last 2 would be Protection and Awakening for some damage resist and more pickups, and I'd probably take Courage if I had 1 more slot for the light ability damage to frozen enemies. Nothing too fancy with the mods, just my usual setup of siphons, ability energy on orb pickup, and a special finisher. Weapons are where things get fun. Since Solar and Stasis are the 2 elements used here, you can actually use both at the same time, one in the kinetic slot, one in the energy. This balances your Transcendence gains and allows a wide variety of loadouts and exotics to be used. Wicked Implement and Dragon's Breath are both amazing picks that fit perfectly, but if you're looking for something new, look no further than Still Hunt. Because freeze comes naturally with this build, landing headshots for Still Hunt is as easy as ever. Plus, it basically gives you another super, which, I mean, come on, who doesn't like that? And it's a solar super, so it also fits into the theme. There's way more great options that would pair perfectly with this build, but Still Hunt and Dragon's Breath were the ones I stuck with the most. Alright, that's enough of the boring details. How is this build actually? It may look good on paper, but that doesn't always mean it's going to play well. Yeah, so this build is actually pretty amazing. Freezing everything, scorching the rest, devour here, devour there. It's an absolute blast to play, and when you get into a groove, you feel unbeatable. It really does feel like the perfect Prismatic build. Because of the combination of both Solar and Stasis specifically, Transcendence charges quick and often, with minimal downtime of anything. There is a slight downside to this build, and that's the cold snaps. If you're in a group who wipes out enemies quickly, you can sometimes toss a grenade and have it hit, well, pretty much nothing. And when your cold snap hits nothing, you get nothing back. It's not a big deal, and if you're playing with your buddies, you likely won't have as much of an issue, since hopefully they'll let you freeze stuff before everybody dogpiles it with damage. If you're in matchmaking though, you are kinda at the mercy of your randoms. Not as big of a deal when the enemies are a bit healthier, but on some of the lower end content you may run into some issues. The problem gets alleviated mostly by Transcendence. If you ever trip up on your ability rotation, pop a quick Transcendence and score all of your abilities back to feed the cycle again. This build is insanely good and super fun to play with. It works with such a wide variety of weapons, and there's even more room for personal preference within the subclass, allowing for some fine-tuning for the activity you're going into, or just some fine-tuning for yourself. Let me know what spin you have on this build in the comments, and until next time.